welcome to Agric today on ARCN Television, Mabushi, Abuja, Nigeria. I am Khadija Oluwatoyin Amin. This week, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is to hold a one-day roundtable on tomatoes in Nigeria to enhance productivity and food security, as well as to reduce post-harvest losses. We shall be taking a look at, as this indication was made known during a courtesy visit led by the National President, the National Tomato Growers, Processors and Marketers Association of Nigeria, NATPAN, to the Honorable Minister's office in Abuja. Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, stated that the one-day roundtable on tomato policy was intended to, among other things, evaluate, expound national tomato policy, make the proposal for revision and passing on to Mr. President, who the Minister of State says is more than willing to ensure that no Nigerian goes to bed hungry. Senator Abdullahi therefore commended the association for the visit, pointing out that their coming was apt, timely and productive. He said earlier this year, Nigerians witnessed high prices of tomatoes on account of scarcity and some other issues which the government is trying so hard to avoid in the coming year. Let's listen to him.
I'm very happy with one point you raised, talking about that aspect of the inflation basket and how tomato has become a very major player in the analysis, which means if tomato is not correct, then our food is not correct. Yes. And I think they may have a point, because maybe, except for some of us who know some local soup, that we don't need tomato, and the local soup is palatable, hardly will you see a soup that truly, if there's no tomato, you will find it to be palatable. So maybe that explains the primacy of tomato in these various calculations. And it's apt and it's right. Now, first let me congratulate you and your group. And we're highly honored to receive you. And to also know that we've been working as a group for some time. Usually the story has always been, you see a group working and then later there is leadership crisis, and then you start having like Hydra. They say this group will come, we just go and change the name. Instead of National Tomato Growers, that one will say no, tomato producers, then they will now bring, just model the name, all the same. But I'm happy to note that NATPAN is one, and you appear to me very cohesive and very united in your focus in tackling the tomato sector in our agriculture. So thank you very much for the work you are doing, and I want to commend all of you for that very brilliant work. I know somebody who has made tomato to have some stylish name is the tomato juice. So thank you for creating that, that at least that branding. And I submit that truly there is a lot to be done, and there is a lot that can be done, and we should be doing that. For us in the ministry, the food security and food system transformation is a priority, and I think we are grateful that you came at this time, and that was why when I saw that, I immediately said it is better we meet this group, because we know the import, and whatever we do, it means if we abandon or refuse to pay attention to tomato, at the end of the day, the inflationary score will still be shooting up despite all efforts. So I think we need to begin to put our money where our mouth is. And I think the importance of tomato definitely deserves to replace it as a value chain. We can no longer pretend. You can see our, artificial basket. So many things. But out of the lot, whether you like it or not, when you say they should prioritize, everybody knows what he wants to call priority. I think we know the importance and we should place it where it belongs. So for us, I think this is coming at the right time. There's so much to be done in agriculture. Rightly, like you said, we have more lands. Nigeria has 73 million hectares of arable land, out of which currently we are dealing with only about 41 to 43 million, which means we are having close to half of our arable land not being farmed. Yes, we are having insecurity challenges some places, but what's the percentage? Sometimes I like to speak to the data, and I think we need to be fair to ourselves as a country. We need to be fair to our government at all times. We know there is insecurity, absolutely. But what is the percentage of areas impacted? So that we can also begin to do more in the areas that are not impacted. Hoping that as work is continuing, those areas that are impacted will begin to get liberated. And I think if you look at what is happening out in the field, more areas are being liberated from all of this, insecurity situation. There is still more areas to be liberated, but at least it's a good thing that some places are being liberated. Ordinarily, what we witnessed before was increase. It started from one place, became 2, became 3, became 4, but now there is a stop and there is a reversal. So I think there is progress. And my attitude is that we should begin to appreciate the little progress and gains we are making. That is the only way we can take the whole, stretch and get to that level where everywhere will be liberated and Nigerians can get their normal life and give a sigh of relief. And I think President Bola Tinubu is working very hard to ensure this happens. The security formations are working very hard and we need to support them, we need to encourage them, and we need to acknowledge their progress no matter how little. Because progress is never done at a go. If they keep a bowl of pounded yam for you with good egusi soup and everything inside, you will say because you want to show that you are a progressive, you carry the whole plate and everything and swallow. You have to start eating it from small, and if you rush it, you may even choke and not finish it. I think this is natural. I want to appeal once again that let's begin to, and this kind of engagement is what we need. And I want to assure you, maybe I'll also join tomato farmers because I see that many people are truly happy. Your chairman, he's retired but not tired. And he's working very hard. And tomato is keeping him fit and young. So I think we need to learn a lesson out of all of this. And I want us to take a look at a way forward on all of this. Most of the things you've mentioned are very germane, but I think as a way forward, it will be very important if you can identify other stakeholders and if possible have a one-day round table. Identify somewhere, bring all the people that needs to be brought together, and let's discuss all the issues again and reappraise even the policy. And then that way we can bring an update. And that update will form the basis of us again approaching Mr. President, who in his magnanimity, I have no doubt, will listen very well to us because this is all he has ever prayed for. That we should tackle all of these issues that is making our food system difficult for Nigerians. I'll continue to repeat this. He has said it. His dream, his vision is a country where no one goes to bed hungry. And I think if we begin to resonate on this dream, on this vision, we can work together to make that possible. He's not saying he's the one going to do it, but as a leader, that is what he wants to encourage. And I think we are on the path when collectively we work towards that direction. So let me take this moment to say that based on all that you have said here, we have had this, but I think as a way forward, a lot of things have dulled down. There are law in terms of so many things. What we can do is to bring it back to the front corner. And to do that, we should do a one-day round table on tomato. There should be a joint committee between your association and our staff here. We'll bring more people, and I don't know, and here to be invited, because we're dealing with issues that knowledge will be involved, and one of the fundamental recommendations you made is for us to look at our homegrown, what did they call it? And I remember while I was in service, we ran what we call CACs. CACs is Competitive Agricultural Research, and let's show that we have what it takes to turn around our fortune as a country, and not to allow the issue of tomato to be used by some people to turn us into hungry people. I think we need to do that.
Yes,
because the mere fact that some people say, oh, the inflation is this, then everybody will just get scared, things will start getting reactionary measures or actions will begin to come in place. And those reactionary steps some people take will now worsen what does not even exist.
of course.
So I think we need to hold and seize the narrative, and that is one of the things I gathered from the submission by the president of NAPA.
In his remarks, the National President, National Tomato Growers, Processors and Marketers Association of Nigeria, NATPAN, Abdullahi Ringim, stated that the purpose of the visit was to draw the attention of the ministry to the non-implementation of the tomato policy to address any grey areas in the policy and other related matters. He pointed out that non-enforcement of the policy on tomato levy has rendered comatose the envisaged availability of the requisite fund for the development of the tomato sector, noting that one of the major inflationary costs of fresh tomatoes, beside seasonality, is the effect of pests and increasing cost of transportation, amongst others. The national president also recalled that on the 8th February 2017, the Federal Executive Council, FEC, at its meeting, considered and approved measures to attract investment and protect local tomatoes processes. He revealed that the approved measures were ban on the importation of tomato paste, powder or concentrate put into retail sale, increase in the tariff on tomato concentrate, restriction on the importation of tomato concentrate to the seaport to address abuse of ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme. Others, he said, were classification of greenhouse equipment as agricultural equipment in order to attract import duty, inclusion of tomato production, processing in the list of industries eligible for investment incentives. The national president also highlighted the economic potentials of the tomato subsector of the Nigerian economy to include full implementation of the tomato policy to protect local investors, granting of fertilizer blending license, and subsidizing other inputs, promotion of partnership with international players for generic breeding of hybrid seeds, amongst others.
Honorable Minister, sir, way back on 8th of February 2017, the Federal Executive Council considered and approved the tomato policy. The February 8th, 2017. Together with your ministry, Federal Ministry of Trade and other stockholders, we partake in the formulation, articulation of this policy. And the major thrust of the policy is as follows. A, ban on the importation of paste, powder or concentrate put off in retails and prepared or preserved by vinegar or acetic and others. So this policy decided that any tomato paste that is sold in small tins or packaging is completely banned. Increase in tariff on tomato concentrate from 5% to 50%, and a levy of $1,500 per metric ton. there was no levy before. This policy introduced a levy. The idea is that this levy will form part of the critical funds that are needed to develop the tomato sector. Restriction on the importation of tomato concentrate to the seaports. This is to ensure that we do not abuse the airports treaty. So by insisting that the tomato paste that is going to be imported must come from through the sea, this will ensure that the cross-border smuggling is eliminated. Okay. Classification of greenhouse equipment as agricultural equipment in order to attract zero duty. Prior to that, greenhouse equipment are not classified as agricultural equipment. This was also looked. Inclusion of tomato production and processing in the list of industries eligible for investment incentive, as the tax holidays and other incentives administered by the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council. However, available records indicated that there has been declining revenue and little policy, yet the market remains flooded with imported paste. So what's going on? There is tomato everywhere, imported tomato paste, and yet the revenue accrued to it, especially the levy side, is dwindling. This means that the smuggling end of the sector remains unabated. Consequently, the revenue lost to the federal government is in the region of $500 billion on duty and $600 million on the levy. The report reaching our association have confirmed that an attempt to jettison the policy by granting waivers to import paste to few companies, some of which do not even have functional processing line. Before this policy, there were 130, 150 industries clustering between Lagos and Ogun, and mainly packaging tomato, imported tomatoes. We call them tomato packaging. We do not call them tomato processing company because they do not process tomato. The whole idea was to import tomato, dilute it, triple concentrate, package it, and pack it, and call it made in Nigeria. So the policy tried to stop that and encourage backward integration so that our farmers will benefit and tomato production will be enhanced. Today's meeting, sir, is intended to draw the attention of your ministry to the non-implementation of the tomato policy. One, addressing gray areas in the policy and other matters. Honorable Minister, sir, I'm here, as you can see, with about members from about 9 states. I also have with me, as mentioned, 3 tomato producers, Dangote tomato, tomato juice, and veg fruit of Dangote tomato, Kano, veg fruit tomato Conde, and tomato juice Conde. We are all here representing the wider family of tomato. 1. The Interministerial Committee comprising all the relevant ministries, departments, agencies, and stakeholders enlisted by the policy is non-functional. This was headed by the Federal Minister of Trade, the Federal Minister of Agriculture, and other agencies. The main thrust of these agencies, this implementation committee, is to ensure strict compliance with the policy. 2, to ensure that processes or packaging companies are visited regularly and their warehouses checked to ensure that to confirm their source of raw materials. This is to avoid smuggling and to promote local utilization and value addition. But this is not functional. This interministerial committee is not meeting nothing is going on there, and the tomato smugglers are enjoying themselves, and there is no check. Like I said, the idea of periodically inspecting the warehouses of the processing industries to establish their source of raw materials, compliance with quality, as many tend to mix the paste with other inputs like color, soya beans, and is non-existent. The non-enforcement of the policy on tomato levy has rendered comatose the envisaged availability of the requisite fund for the development of the subsector, since mainly the reason for the levy was to develop the subsector, and then there are imported pests and there is no levy paid, so what's going on? So there is need to check this and address it adequately. One of the major inflationary costs of fresh tomato, besides seasonality, is the effect of pests. Let me at this juncture thank your ministry, sir, for being up and doing and assisting the pest control support. There was also a subcommittee that was set up by this ministry. Unfortunately, that is not also functioning better. We appreciate what the ministry has done for our farmers, especially when there was massive loss due to the infestation of the I will, however, mention that the issue of tuta absoluta is occurring this month. And so the only way we can ratify it is to ensure that our farmers are given these inputs long before the manifestation. Because with tuta absoluta, once the pest is sighted in a particular farm, within 48 hours that farm is gone. So the only way we can ratify is for the farmer to have the pest on hand immediately after sighting it, so spray, and this will reduce the amount of losses. One of the major costs of fresh tomato, besides seasonality, of course, I have mentioned, many people, especially when we watch television, we notice that people keep saying that the cost of tomato is 40,000, then the cost of tomato is 2,000. This is because of the seasonal nature of tomato. Tomato has two seasons, the rain-fed season and the dry season. Most industrialists prefer to use tomato during the dry season. The reason being that the Brix level, or the meaty part of the tomato, is lower, it is higher, and hence the tendency is to use the dry season tomato, which is between January, March, April. And the rain-fed tomato is a little watery because we do not have control over the rain. So the inflationary trend, which many of the media houses were able to monitor, is because of this seasonal nature. The increasing cost of transportation, interstate levies and taxes are major costs of inflation. These are the second one. I did mention that, for instance, it cost about 1.7 billion to hire a truck of tomato from Kano to my truck. But then along the road, our farmers pay about 400,000 levy in court to people who stop them on the road. Some of them are towns, some of them are for local government. So there are multiple taxations, such that if they do not pay, the tomato is dead, and once it is dead, it rots away. By and large, it increases the cost of inflation as a result of this attitude. Tomato policy is a very good initiative, as articulated and endorsed by the government, which has encouraged backward integration and enhanced local growth. The policy has brought investment in excess of $500 million. That is why we have the Dangotes today, the tomato growth today, the producer today, because of backward integration. Some of the packaging companies are also sourcing their tomato locally. And This is as a result of the policy. The policy has also reduced post-harvest losses through the use of plastic crates. Post-harvest losses was ranging between 40 to 45%, came down to about 20 to 25% as a result of the use of plastic crates. There are issues
From 40% to
from 45% to 20 to 25%. The issue of plastic crating, you see, when you put tomato on a raffia basket, there is compression and it gets spoils along the road, either to the factory or to the market, wherever it is. Now, the plastic crates are designed in a way that it has air, it has preservatives. So that is a major source of improvement. However, there is also the issue of available resources to buy this. Is that the CBN itself got entangled into retail market. And once that is done, there are issues that they mess up the whole problem.
Stakeholders to be involved in the one-day roundtable include the Association of Federal Departments of Agriculture, Extension Services Department, National Agricultural Development Fund, all zonal and coordinating institutes, as well as all universities of agriculture. And that's the size of this week's package. Please join us again, same time and station next week. I remain your host, Khadija Oluwatoyin. I'm saying bye for now.